What up, gamers? My name is Simixi, and I have a short story to share with you guys, as well as one important question to ask. Let's get right into it. So I'm going to share with you guys a story, and my hope with this is to show you guys perspective. I'm not here to convince you, I'm not here to tell you what's right and what's wrong. I just want to show you a different angle that a lot of people around the time of the story didn't really consider. So we're going to take you back to around the year 2000, and we're going to talk about a game that got a really bad reputation as just a pure result of being a victim of circumstance. We're talking about Final Fantasy IX. And 9 dared to do some really ambitious things. It sought out to be the example of the franchise's namesake. It has all the cool stuff in it. It's got the iconic battle system, it's got really cool and interesting characters, really compelling story, Nobuo Uematsu came back to help out with the music. Everything about 9 is just what a Final Fantasy game should be. And 9 has all this really cool stuff. Like, in this game you can effectively turn Super Saiyan via trance and everyone gets some unique spells during it. And then there's cool little quirks, like if you have Vivi, who does magic in your party, and then you have Steiner, who's this great knight and can deal awesome damage. But if you have Vivi and Steiner in your party at the same time, Vivi can cast magic on his sword, and then he can do magical damage. And there's just all this awesome stuff that people have missed out on, because nobody gave the game a chance. But if 9 is such a great game, why do people think it's a bad game? Well, in order to answer that, we need to talk about the circumstances that led to its demise. 9 tragically released towards the end of the PlayStation 1's life, and the PlayStation 2 had actually already been out for about 4 months, so people were getting excited about the next PlayStation 2 games, like Grand Theft Auto and whatever, and people were moving on from PS1 games. A lot of people were understandably asking themselves, why should I go back and buy games for an old console when I'm trying to save up for new and interesting ones? But even that concept isn't what dealt the killing blow on Final Fantasy IX. Square Enix themselves are actually what led to the doom of their own child. In the same year that 9 released, Square Enix came out with the announcement of their next big major title.
There have been other worlds before. Mythical, exotic, timeless. Final Fantasy the games. Interactive worlds that have captivated millions, taking you to the limits of your imagination. And now, the phenomenon continues with
Final Fantasy X. And people freaked out. It was going to do all these new, cool, innovative things with all these new 3D graphics and new engines and stuff. It was going to be on the PlayStation 2 and everything was going to look awesome. They were innovating the level up system, and combat was going to have all these new features. And it was going to be fully voice acted for the first time in the franchise. And so people had been sitting on their PlayStation 2s for about 4 months now, and then Square Enix came out with this huge announcement for Final Fantasy X, and people looked back over their shoulders at 9 and were like, I'm gonna wait on the next one. And understandably so. I mean, I totally get it. You know, why would you buy the old game when the new one's coming out and it looks so much cooler? And that left a huge number of players out there who were now PlayStation 2 owners sort of left to ask themselves, why won't I buy it? And, you know, like, it has older graphics, it has the old combat system, it looks dated, and so people came up with these answers to sort of justify waiting on the next game, understandably so, and tragically, even though 9 had barely been on the shelves, it was already doomed to fail on arrival. And those answers are exactly what buried 9, and it went down in history as a bad game. And people hadn't even played it. People just saw that the new cool and interesting game was coming, the next console had come out, and so before people even had real opinions of their own, they were just looking at this game at face value and just deemed it as a bad game and moved on. And so 9 just went down in history as this game that nobody really had heard of or knew anything about. But now, years later, you've got all these streamers and people that are combing back through all these old games and are thinking, wow, we really slept on this. How could we have been missing out all this time? And if you are a lover of RPGs and you appreciate good characters, good music, and good story, you are doing yourself a disservice by not giving this game a chance. And heck, it's one of the most accessible games that's out there right now. It's on mobile, it's on Steam, it's on the PlayStation Network, it's on pretty much every platform you can possibly get your hands on, so there's really not an excuse to play it anymore. Save for budget, of course, and, you know, no one can fault you for that. The point of this is, just because a great majority of players thinks that a game is bad, doesn't mean that it necessarily is. And you gotta think, there are huge art teams that are out there. You watch those credits roll at the beginning and the end of every video game, and all of those people who all came together to bring a project to life were sitting on the edge of their seats, waiting to find out if this game, this work of art that they all came together to bring to life is gonna succeed or not. And then something like that happens, and it just fails. And it just makes you sit and wonder. Some of us played Battleship and Candyland and Monopoly and all these board games growing up, and then we evolved into video games. And I think somewhere along the way, we sort of lost the idea that video games are meant to be fun. Video games are meant to be fun. And so you can look at a game like Super Duper Sumos. And you can look at this game, published by Midway, and, you know, are the odds of this game being terribly compelling high? Probably not. But if you play this thing and you have fun, did it serve its purpose? I think the answer to that question is worth considering. And so, even if something looks bad at face value, even if something has a vast majority of people who might have big influential opinions, even, say something is bad, I would encourage you to give a game a chance. If you have fun playing the game, how bad is it really? This has been Zemixie. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye, friends!